Welcome to the next in a series of sneak previews presented by Please Go Away Vacations. In the next several minutes, we're going to be sharing some of the exciting things that we'll be doing on our African safari in search of the Big Five. This tour has been rescheduled in 2021, departing on September the 23rd and returning on October the 5th. This is a special, all-inclusive, personally hosted feature travel experience presented in cooperation with Mayflower Cruises and Tours. Together, we have over 100 years of travel service. Many of you wonder, well, what exactly makes up a feature travel program? What we do is we select a travel program with one of our quality tour operators, such as Mayflower Cruises and Tours, based upon our personal experiences of having traveled the world during the last 54 years. We have an idea of things that people must see in various areas, and we add those as select bonus features. Together, this then makes a very comprehensive travel experience that you're not able to find anywhere else. So Larry, let's get started and look at some of the highlights of things that we'll be doing on the African safari. And I'd like to also mention that I'm going to have the privilege of serving as the personal hostess on this experience, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Would like to invite everybody who has an interest to call and visit with us, or give us a call and we'll answer their questions. So let's get started.
Thank you, Paula. And let me mention that the lady speaking to you and indicating that she was going to be the personal hostess on this trip, which is also always another bonus of a featured tour for Please Go Away Vacations, is Paula Axman. Now, Paula's been with our organization over 30 years. She has literally traveled the world, and she currently is serving as president of Cheyenne Travel Please Go Away Vacations that does business as Please Go Away Vacations. I'm going to digress here for just a very few seconds and mention a personal conversation that I had with a Pan American airline pilot approximately 54 years ago. That shows you how long ago it's been. I was on a flight, I guess, going to the West Coast somewhere, and my seatmate was a Pan American pilot that was cushioning or flying to a destination where he could become part of a crew. He was the pilot of a plane that would be going to a foreign destination. And so, of course, our conversation struck up to travel. And being relatively new in the business 54 years ago, I said to the pilot, who had many more years experience at that time than I had, what was the most amazing destination on earth that he had ever been to? Because he literally had traveled the world. Without a moment's hesitation, he said East Africa, because it is so different and unusual. And I've had the opportunity to be to East Africa, which is what is highlighted in this itinerary, many times since that time, and I can never forget that he was 100% right. In fact, we call this an expedition experience, but it's going to be including two countries of East Africa, both Kenya and Tanzania. Those are outstanding destinations for what we want to accomplish when we are on this safari and in search of the Big Five, and our journey will be achieved in comfort. You look at the map here, and you see that we start out in Nairobi, we somewhat make a circle, and we end back up in Nairobi, meaning that we fly in and out of Nairobi. Of importance is the fact that the circles that you see on the itinerary lines on the map, those circles have numbers inside them, and those numbers indicate the number of nights that you're going to be in each one of those vacations. Now, you can look at a competing program that is named similarly, but is in no way comparable because of the things that it does not have. A good way to always start out looking at an itinerary is how many nights you are always going to be in any particular area. And this fact that you see your 2 nights in Masai Mara, your 2 nights in Serengeti National Park, your 2 nights in the Ngorongoro Conservation Area, and 2 nights in Amboseli National Park indicates that this is a slow-paced, in-depth experience as opposed to a fast journey where you are getting up every day, traveling to a far destination, shutting down late at night, so forth. It is an experience that you will always remember. It is achieved in total comfort, and you will notice that on the map we have encircled the name of Serengeti National Park in red. The reason we highlight that is because it is the hotspot of the Great Migration normally during the time of year that you're going to be there. And we'll talk a little bit more about the Great Migration, but remember, this is all about being in search of the Big Five. So having said that, Paula, let's begin our quick overview and sneak preview. Here's the Great Migration. I'm sure you've seen this on nature TV channels and things of this nature. It is one of nature's true wonders. Wild animals by the thousands. Here we see wildebeest crossing one of the rivers, travel continuously from one part of Africa to another. Their journey is basically a round trip circle that lasts a year. They go one direction, they then turn around. Their entire life cycle takes place on this Great Migration, and it is where they give birth to the young animals, where they are subjected to the principle of survival of the fittest, because obviously the strongest animals survive on these journeys. It's nature at its finest, and it's one of the natural wonders of the world. And you will be there, statistically speaking, during the most prone time to see this Great Migration. This picture right here is often, when you see it on television, accompanied by the alligators and crocodiles that are in the water waiting for these wildebeest to get into the water to cross, and obviously they try to catch them. Survival of the fittest. You will see this in action when you are on this safari. We mentioned that you would be enjoying the safari in comfort. In fact, almost luxury when you start out, because you're going to be at the Sarova Stanley Hotel in Nairobi. This is a hotel that was made famous by Ernest Hemingway in some of his writings. And you can see here from the look of the marble floors and the counters that it is comfort and it is quality. And this is where you begin your journey. Now, Nairobi is where you're flying into and out of. Nairobi is a big city, but shortly after you leave Nairobi, you will be in the wilds of Africa. And wilds, I meant only in the most positive way, and we'll explain that here a little bit better. As we go forward, we're going to see also that the hotel that you begin with is the site of the Thorn Tree Message Board. Now, Hemingway mentioned this in his writings, and so if you've read any of his works, or if you plan to read any of his works, he wrote abundantly about his experiences in Africa, like the snows of Kilimanjaro and things of this nature, and he references this bulletin board. The hotel that you're going to be staying in obviously has adapted and been kept up, but it's also one of the original luxury facilities of Nairobi as the city was expanding and growing and gaining its independence. You're going to start out and you're going to be experiencing Lake Nakuru National Park. It's the site of your first big game drive. And game drives are events that take place in vehicles like you see here. One of the features that sets our tour apart from other experiences is the fact that everyone is going to be traveling in a vehicle similar to this, where every person will have access to their own individual window and access to being able to stand up and take advantage of the pop up top of the vehicles. And the reason you're going to be wanting to do this is to enjoy the unobstructed views and photography opportunities that you will have for shooting animals in the wild. Animals are on the move, you go out where they are, and you see them, as you see here an example. There are no fences. They are free to roam wherever they want. Quite honestly, you will be the trespasser, or we will be the trespasser into their domain. They are accustomed to not fear mankind, and so therefore you get up close views such as you see right here, and there's an abundance of different types of animals, waterfowl, as well as natural beauties and wonders that are waiting for you to experience. Continuing on, we show here the next place where you're going to be staying, Tipa Lakwani Lamp. It's on the Masai Mara National Reserve. And let me mention something to you here in the way of clarification, because this came up and I never had thought about it. But years ago, one of our really solid world travelers, his wife was wanting to go on this safari, and you know, you refer to national reserves, refer to national reserves such as we do right here. And this gentleman, meaning very well and not being flippant at all, said, well, you can go to national parks here and you can see animals in parks here. A national park in Africa is not comparable in any way to a park here in the United States or a zoo. Literally, the individual human beings are the ones that are locked in at night in safe, protective territory and accommodations, but you're right out in the middle of things. And these camps are strategically located. They're luxury, a swimming pool. Would you expect a swimming pool out in the middle of your game drives? Well, they will be there. And the topography of the ground here is not filled with forests or anything like that. I like to draw a parallel to East Africa with the Flint Hills of eastern Kansas. Rolling grasslands, trees spotted every once in a while. Animals are free to roam. Obviously, they follow the routes of water, and these camps are also most often situated adjacent to or very near water sources, because water is obviously a very important point of necessity to the animals as they do their migration and daily lives. But continuing on, the food in Africa that you will enjoy will surprise you. The wait staff and the chefs that are present in these camps, we call them, or lodges if you want to call them, are basically British trained. They are patient in their service. The food is well prepared, tasty, and abundant, and you will have all of your meals included while you are on safari, and you will enjoy, I venture to say, as I have, every meal that I've ever had. It's meals that are somewhat familiar to you in many instances. Other times it may be something that's a bit different for you to experience, but always very good, tastefully prepared, and obviously well presented, such as you see here. This is a sample of the type of accommodations you have. It's certainly not roughing it. This is, again, at the camp that I pointed out to you at the Masai Mara Reserve. There will be variations of this type of room accommodation, but always safe and secure, comfortable, and enjoyable and surprising, well beyond most people's expectations. I remember another time that we took a well-traveled couple to Africa with us, and the lady had to have her coffee every morning. She took her own coffee pot along because she was sure coffee would not be available on safari. And I can assure you she didn't use her coffee pot once, even though we told her she wouldn't need it, because it's always there in abundance as you are accustomed to fine dining here at, at home in the United States. We mentioned the wildebeest. And again, you can see how you go right out in the herds. You can see again where the topography of the ground is somewhat like the Flint Hills of eastern Kansas. And one of the things I want you to note in the upper left-hand corner is the hot air balloon. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but the purpose of this is to show you the thousands of wildebeest that you will see, and they are a strange looking animal. In fact, some of the locals will say that the wildebeest is the animal God made from leftover parts when he was creating the animal world. It's an experience unlike you'll ever find here. It's why you go to Journey to see what the rest of the world is like. And it's an amazing opportunity to add an additional continent to your travel achievements. Another national park that you're going to go to is the Serengeti National Park. Now, again, think back to my comments about the well-meaning gentleman that said, well, we have parks here in the United States where we can go see animals. The Serengeti National Park, for example, is 5,000 square miles of unfenced territory where animals of all makes and descriptions roam wild. It's in Tanzania, East Africa. That's the southern part of the two countries that you're going to be visiting. And I can tell you that there may be times when you're on a road similar to this and you will wait to let the animals pass, whether they're water buffalo or elephants. They may pass within 6 or 7 feet of you, but they have the right of way. Again, we are the intruders into their domain, but that is what makes it such a majestic experience, is because you really see the way it is in comfort and with the ability to capture unbelievable photographs. Many of the animals that you will see in Serengeti National Park are what you see here. Serengeti is a major concentration of wild animals. You see the giraffe on the left-hand side, the water buffalo, the second one in from the left, zebras, and of course the hippopotamus over on the right-hand side. Interestingly enough, a fact situation about a giraffe that you see on the left-hand side there is that their neck, just like a human neck, only has 7 vertebrae. Obviously, they're much larger, and one of the things that you'll often see giraffes doing when they drink water is they will spread their front legs wide apart because that's the only way their neck can reach down to drink the water. Again, amazing experiences await you in Serengeti National Park. Serengeti is home to over 2,500 lions, known as King of the Jungle. Again, you're not going to be in any jungle. And let me mention to you that you're going to also enjoy the temperatures that you're going to be experiencing in Africa, because they are very much like Denver in the summertime. It can be a bit chilly in the morning, very nice during the day where you might want to take off your jacket that you started the morning with. But again, cool of an evening, which gives rise to wonderful bonfires out in the grounds of the accommodations that you'll be staying, and even fireplaces inside the accommodations where you will be staying. So again, it's comfortable. It's not hot, sweaty jungle. It's an amazing experience awaiting for you to enjoy. I mentioned the hot air balloon ride here just a moment ago. Paula mentioned in her opening remarks that we always include special bonus features in our feature tours. That makes them unlike anything else you will see ordinarily offered by anybody else. Our special travelers that will be part of this feature travel experience, put together by Please Go Away Vacations and operated in concert with Mayflower Cruises and Tours, will include for just our people a hot air balloon ride. It normally takes place early in the morning, and you literally lift up above the animals and you see them as you have a perspective shown here. I need to say my wife and I have been in a hot air balloon in East Africa where from horizon point on the left to horizon point on the right, we saw wildebeest in their great migration. Amazingly, a hot air balloon is very quiet except for the occasional burst of hot flame that keeps the air in the balloon hot. You can hear villagers talking in their villages as you pass over them. And amazingly, there is no wind resistance when you are in a hot air balloon. You could literally put a tissue on the edge of the basket and it would not blow off because you are one with the wind. It's an ethereal experience because it's quiet. You're seeing amazing things that can be viewed in no other way. It's awe-inspiring and truly breathtaking. That's why we want you to be sure to include, and we've included, a bonus feature of a hot air balloon ride over the Serengeti. Also, we're going to be going, and Paula will be taking you to Ngorongoro Conservation Area. It's the largest unbroken caldera in the world. Now, caldera, as you know, is the center of a volcano, and this is extinct. There's no active volcanic activity going on. But in other words, it is a Great Depression. It's the largest caldera, as indicated, in the world, and as such has become an ecosystem for the existence of all kinds of wild animals. They could leave if they wanted to, but they don't want to. You will drive down into the crater area and you will examine animals and waterfowl up close and again have amazing views, and the animals are abundant again because they're so satisfied with their lifestyle and cycle that they don't seek to go and roam large areas. Animals of the caldera that you may see would be such as the leopard deer on the right-hand side, obviously wildebeest out in the far distance, and there is no motivation for them to leave, as I mentioned. Again, an amazing experience. Ngorongoro Crater. Ngorongoro Crater is also very near Olduvai Gorge. It's a world site of paleoanthropological importance. In simple terms, that's where Leakey discovered the jawbone that of the Homo sapien. I've had the privilege of meeting his son and visiting with his son at Olduvai Gorge. It adds to your travel accomplishments and your achievements when you can say that you've been to such an important point in the development of mankind of the world, Olduvai Gorge. Now, accommodations will be above the caldera, and what you can see here is an example of dining outside on an overlooking patio. The patio overlooking the amazing caldera that you will have been in during the earlier part of the day. You can see some of the fresh fruit on the right-hand side, watermelons, for example, fruit on the table. There's meat, there's pasta. It's just amazing. And another thing that will amaze you, at least it always has me when I've been on safari, is the desserts that are available in these accommodations where you will be staying. You will be enjoying luxury, comfort, but you will be having an expedition experience. Tarengire National Park is a major concentration of wild elephants. Now, again, certain areas of the places that we're going have concentration of animals, and that's why we go to them. The animals here are the elephants that you see, and ordinarily you will see bulls, you will see female elephants, and you will see little tiny uh, child elephants uh, traveling along normally underneath their mother or within her legs for protection. And it's just an amazing thing. Marilyn, my wife, and I were sitting one evening for after dark, just relaxing on a patio that we had on our private accommodation overlooking a water hole. And suddenly, out of the dark on the right hand side, there became a procession of wild elephants. And we were probably 50 feet from them. They would come along and they would drink, and literally hundreds passed in front of us. The procession lasted well over an hour, and of course, they were just migrating from one point to another, doing their natural thing, and we had the opportunity to observe this up close and real. You will too sing things similar to this. I mentioned Hemingway and the snows of Kilimanjaro. You're going to have the opportunity to have great views of Mount Kilimanjaro that you see here in the background. Again, look at the grass similar to the Flint Hills of Kansas. And the trees that you see are quite often acacia trees, known as upside down trees. And if the weather is permitting, and should be generally good during the time that you are there, Amboseli National Park will give you a great opportunity to view this magnificent mountain that has had its place in the history of Africa and in the writings of Hemingway. So we call this an expedition because it is truly an unusual travel experience, but it's one that is achieved in comfort. Truly, your Africa safari in search of the Big Five is truly the experience of a lifetime. We have a wonderful group. In fact, as we sit here, we have 4 spaces available, and it's going to be an experience that will never be forgotten. And I think you will understand why that Pan Am pilot, more than 50 years ago, told me that East Africa, the area that you're going to be going to, is the most outstanding area of the world that he had ever seen. I agree with him. So, having said that, let me point out to you that having been in the business for more than 50 years, we've learned a lot of things, some good, some bad, some positive, some sad. The 5 saddest words that we've come to hear over the years are people having to say, I wish we would have. Point being, if it doesn't take food from your table or shelter from your head, why not reward yourself and your loved ones? There will never be a better time. There will never be better people to reward than yourselves and your loved ones. And you can avoid having to ever say, I wish we would have. So, having said that, let me point out to you that travels are memories made and shared that are never forgotten, and you will have amazing memories created that you will be sharing with those that you experienced them with at the time, and also those with whom you were able to share them with once you return. Travels are memories made and shared that are never forgotten. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. Remember, our business credo is small town carrying worldwide since 1966. We're proud that we're in a small central Kansas community, but we've literally hosted thousands of people to all 7 continents of the world, and you will enjoy your expedition to Africa. You can contact our full-time team of professional travel advisors that we have maintained a full staff of during this COVID crisis to answer and serve our travelers. You can do this by contacting us toll free, 800-362-9347, or you can always email us at answers@travelpleasegoaway.com. I promise you, you will never talk to a machine, you will never be directed to voicemail, and you will always be promptly served with an answer whichever way you contact us. Your questions are welcome. Thank you. And remember, please go away.